Hi family, I'm back. The video cut off when I was talking about accepting accountability. When you overstay in a bad relationship or a bad marriage, you yourself have to accept accountability. I overstayed way too long. I thought that things were going to work out. I had hope, I had expectations, because I wanted my son to be raised in a two-parent household. So it led me to stay longer than I should, and it wasn't even really for me. When I started becoming unhappy, it just became, let's just do this for my kid. Let me just do this for my son, because, you know, he loved his step, and it wasn't even his real dad, it was his stepdad. So, but it became, my ex became like a very toxic person, and he started, you know, manipulating my kid against me and started telling him things that we were going through. And so he turned my kid against me, and so it just made goodbye a lot easier. And especially when my son started acting out and started being disrespectful and started, you know, just acting like he knew what was going on. And it was like, stay in a child's place type of thing. And you don't know what adults are going through. And even if you do know, you're still a child and you still need to, you know, not get involved. But him, my ex, by telling my son everything that was going on, the problems that we was having, made Malik, my son, side with him more and be best friends with him more. And so it just made things a little complicated. And then so I wasn't even at home as much because I work all day, and my ex stayed home so much with my son, so he had time to sit down and talk to him. And so I made this 16 years I stayed way too long. That's long enough to manipulate my son's entire childhood. And so he just had his time to talk to him, and I was hoping he would be a positive role model in my son's life, but that's not exactly what happened. The exact opposite happened, and my son just turned into, I mean, he's still my son. He says he still loves me, but it doesn't feel like he does, because of the simple fact that my ex was there to talk to him every single day, and he did not work. He stopped working just because he was getting a Social Security check, because it was a lot of manipulation going on, and it was so I blame myself. I blame myself for tolerating that way longer than I should. And I know I deserve a good man. I deserve to be loved. And me working 2 jobs while the man stays at home, that's psychotic. I was exhausted, tired, I was hurt, my body hurt every single day. You know, I get up, you know, my day starts at 6 a.m. and then my day ends at 10 p.m. You know, I was tired, I was exhausted, I was running my body down. And I did it all for my son. I wanted to stay because I wanted a better life for my son, and I wanted him to have a 2-parent household. But my ex was not husband material. He wasn't gonna pull his weight because he just wanted to do the bare minimum and get away with it. And he just felt like, oh, she'll get up and go to work, I don't really have to do nothing. So he just left all the burden and the responsibilities all on me. And he didn't really want to do too much of anything. And I think that's unfair, and I don't know how to explain that to my son. My son will never really understand what that's like. No woman wants to actually work 2 jobs. Not unless she has a goal she's working on with her husband, has a man in the household and working early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then coming home 10 o'clock at night, and working damn near, 5-6 days a week. No woman really wants to work that hard. Not for real. Not with a man in her house. And that man is not getting up, going to work and working as hard and working towards the same goals. No woman wants to work that hard. Absolutely not. So I stayed stressed out. I was not happy because I had to work as much, and I resented my husband because he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't going anywhere with his life. He didn't want to we didn't have the same goals. Didn't motivate him like it motivated me. Like, I want to travel. I want to, be able to go different places and do things. I don't want to just really stay in the city and just keep getting up, going to work every single day like that. No, I want to, go out and do things and see things and, go to amusement parks in different countries, and especially Africa, especially Cameroon, to see my family, to see my cousins. And, I just want to, just do a lot more things in my life, to see how they live on the other side of the world, Jamaica, Mexico. And these aspirations and goals did not inspire him to want to get a job and to keep a job and to want to go and do anything. I want to, take my son to Walt Disney World and SeaWorld and Adventure Island, Busch Gardens. Just take him more places and spend more quality time with him. But you can't do that when there's only one income in the house, when it's intentionally done. So my husband just really, he used me. He used me a lot, and I looked stupid. I looked dumb, embarrassed, humiliated me. He talked down on me. He degraded me, and he did this in front of my son too, when he's making these insults, hurling emotional, damaging insults at me. And it's like, how could you talk to me like that when I'm the only one in this house working, and I have no respect, and I'm cooking and cleaning? So I was just run through the ringer, and it's like, no, this got to end. And he got really upset with me when I told him it's time to leave. He got to get out of my house. Oh, you just want me to leave? I said, yeah. And then I found another man too, who's gonna appreciate me. And he got very, very upset. And so I felt like I had to just breathe and stop and think about everything that was going on. It was just happening. Like, I was just being so drugged down. Like, I felt worn out and exhausted. But I know I had to get rid of my husband. He was excess baggage, and that was never supposed to happen. He didn't want to be a man. He wanted to be a child. He was a grown adult. And my son will never understand that. But even if he doesn't understand that, now he'll understand it later on in life when he adults more. He has to go through his 20s and his 30s in life, and he'll understand that you can't really sit at home and let a woman go to work, and then you do the bare minimum, and then you want to go places and do things, but then you don't have any contribution to the situation, but then you want to just come along and you want to participate and want something to eat and drink and get on the roller coaster rides and go to these different things, extremities, and want to go on the cruise ship, but then you don't have any contribution to the situation. So he didn't want to add value to the situation, so he didn't add value to my life. And so I just kind of got lost in trying to be everything, be super mom, be super wife, and then no one was looking out for me. No one was looking out for Gigi. And so I'm just sitting here like, and I'm like, this is not healthy for me. And I was like, this cannot no longer continue. And I got blindsided because people say, oh, didn't you see that, the signs early on? And no, not really. I didn't see a deadbeat early on. I didn't see a manipulative jerk later on. I mean, in the beginning, no, he doesn't. It doesn't start out like that. Actually, it starts out very nice and very giving and very generous. It starts out with a generosity, and it starts out with you don't really see the mask slip until you see it. You don't see it until you see it. So that's how that ended. That's what I was been going through for the last 4 years. That's how that summed up, and trying to get my son through high school and pulling teeth to get him to get up and go to school and do right, study and just make it to your school on time. And it was a lot of rebellion. a lot of rebellion, because I guess he felt the things falling apart. He felt the energy of the house shift, and children can feel the energy of your house shift. And I guess he was really feeling the negativity, the toxicity that was going on, swirling in the household, the anger, the sadness, the depression, you know, just me feeling what I was feeling. And it's just, I was all over. My emotions was all over the place. But when I love, I love. And as a Capricorn, I can't really fake what I feel, because it's going to come through on my face, and then you're going to feel it in my energy. And so I'm just going to be real 100%. And so I